He was extremely attractive. He was, in those days, very good on television. He had presence in front of a camera and on interview shows. And intellectuals of that time tended to think that anybody that was popular with a mass audience couldn't be very serious.
Bred fear in people, always talking about anything that you might be afraid of, if it's some sort of sex or if it's some sort of physical harm or if it's some sort of thought. Whatever he could find that you would fear, he would play on.
I think he's a great person. Yes, and I love him dearly.
He just cared so much for people. And throughout the years, you know, he said, if it wasn't for my fans, man, I just wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have the things that I have. And so I thanked him. And the best way he thanked them was to entertain him and make him feel loved.
We lived there with the dog, 2 cats, my mother, and my sister and I. And every single day of his life there, when he was there, he'd go to the bathroom for 4 hours and read Shakespeare and the Bible, and we never could get in.
He, like, bit people, you know, and he was kind of cold and cruel, you know, and selfish.
Who can survive with this burden of success? I don't know, because he had such a success that it confined him to this, you know, to this cage he had to live in without any freedom at all.
I remember the last party he invited me to, and he was telling me what a strain it usually is. He said, "Do it happen to you?" I said, "Yeah, but not like it does you." He couldn't even move around the place without bodyguards or somebody being close to him all the time. I usually maybe have somebody around sometime. He had to have them all the time.
I think he's darling. I was living with my dog in an apartment and having just a real go to work, go home, go shopping, go to work, go home, go to the movie, go to bed, go shopping. You know, it was so routine. It was really a drag, and it was getting to me, and then he came in. And I just dropped it, you know, whatever was happening, and took off.
He always poked fun at the hippies.
He used to go out with friends and spend all the night with poets and so on. He drank and all that. And, well, I said, aren't you afraid of hell? He says, oh, no. He says, I'm concerned with heaven. He says, I'm thinking about heaven all the time.
There's a big buildup of something else that takes place before you finish yourself off inadvertently. I wish you hadn't done it. But then again, I know a lot of people that do that kind of thing to themselves every day.
He said that he'd been hanging on the cross. You know, like 2,000 years ago, he'd hung on the cross and died for everyone's sins, and it didn't do a fucking bit of good. So now he's up again.
When he died, in terms of commercial popularity, he became a social phenomenon, the one star who would be larger after death than in life.
I really think that he's a modern saint.
Salvador Dali, and I agree with him, said he was the most handsome man that he'd ever seen.
Because he's a spark. He's a light.
Perhaps he was the flawed hero we should all be looking for in the 20th century, in that he had all the gifts and the opportunities.
I think he's okay myself.
One day we were at the bar. He said, I have an idea, Stanley. Let's commit suicide together. I said, great, you go first. He said, you son of a bitch. And from then on, he never mentioned it again.
It ain't my business what he did. The only thing I want to know, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world of entertainment something? Yes, on all counts. And that's the name of that tune. You understand what I mean? Good. Because without the jazz don't matter.